Everyone in Kaiju number 8 talks about Mina Ashiro like she's unstoppable, the Defense Force's strongest sniper, a legendary commander, a woman capable of bringing down massive kaiju from incredible distances. And when you look at her reputation, it's easy to believe she's one of the strongest humans in the series. But there's a problem. Mina's reputation may be stronger than Mina herself, and once you look closely at her story, you start to see something very interesting. Mina isn't powerful because she can overpower everything. She's powerful because she knows exactly how to use what she has, and those are two very different things. When Kafka Hibino and Mina Ashiro were children, they shared the same dream. They wanted to join the Defense Force. They wanted to protect people from kaiju, but their lives took completely different paths. Mina kept moving forward. Kafka fell behind. Eventually, Mina became one of the most respected leaders in the Defense Force, while Kafka was cleaning up the aftermath of battles. That difference is important, because Mina didn't become powerful overnight. She built her reputation through years of training, combat experience, discipline, and leadership. But here's the controversial part. Being highly respected doesn't automatically mean being overwhelmingly powerful. Mina's greatest weapon isn't her physical strength, it's her gun. Her ability to fight from extreme distances allows her to destroy kaiju that would be incredibly difficult for ordinary soldiers to approach. And when Mina fires, the results are devastating. She can hit enormous targets, she can coordinate attacks, she can provide support over huge areas, and her presence on the battlefield can completely change the situation. But there's a catch. Mina's strength depends heavily on distance, positioning, equipment, and preparation. She's not a character who simply walks into close combat and overwhelms everything with raw physical power, and that's where fans sometimes misunderstand her. Think about the difference between Mina and Kafka. Kafka can physically transform into Kaiju number 8. His body gives him monstrous strength, speed, durability, and regeneration. He can survive attacks that would destroy ordinary humans. Mina can't. She's still human. She has limits. She can be injured. She can be overwhelmed. And if an enemy gets close enough, her advantage becomes much smaller. That's why calling Mina weak would also be completely wrong. She's dangerous because she understands her limitations. She doesn't need to fight like Kafka. She doesn't need to punch a kaiju through a building. She doesn't need to transform. She fights differently. She calculates. She positions herself. She waits. Then she fires. And sometimes one shot is all it takes. This is where Mina's real strength becomes clear. She isn't a powerhouse, she's a specialist, and specialists can be terrifying. Imagine fighting an enemy you can't even see. You're focused on the giant kaiju in front of you, and suddenly Mina is watching from hundreds of meters away. You don't hear her, you don't see her, you don't even know you're being targeted. Then, one shot. That's Mina. But there's another reason fans may overestimate her. Her reputation is enormous. Everyone around her treats her like a legend. Her soldiers trust her. Her subordinates respect her. Her presence inspires confidence. And because the story repeatedly tells us how powerful Mina is, it's easy to assume she can compete with the strongest kaiju in every situation. But that's not necessarily true. Mina's reputation comes from consistency, not invincibility, and that's an important distinction. A character doesn't have to be the strongest person in the room to be one of the most valuable. Mina understands this better than almost anyone. She's a commander. Her job isn't simply to defeat every enemy herself. Her job is to keep people alive, to make decisions, to coordinate attacks, to recognize threats, to remain calm when everyone else is panicking. That kind of strength doesn't show up on a power level chart. And this is where Mina becomes more impressive than she first appears, because while Kafka's power allows him to break the rules, Mina has to work within them. Kafka can rely on the power of Kaiju No. 8. Mina has to rely on training, weapons, technology, experience, teamwork, and her own judgment. Every victory means more because she doesn't have unlimited power behind her. She has to earn it. There's also something tragic about Mina's position. When she was a child, she and Kafka dreamed of standing together. They wanted to fight kaiju side by side, but Mina became everything they imagined. Kafka didn't, and now Mina stands at the top while Kafka secretly possesses the very power that could potentially surpass her. That's an incredible irony. The girl who reached the dream first may eventually be surpassed by the boy who couldn't keep up, and that's why Mina's strength should be viewed differently. She isn't necessarily the strongest because she has the biggest power. She's strong because she has mastered her role. She's turned a human limitation into a weapon. She knows that she can't fight like a kaiju, so she doesn't try to. She fights like Mina. But there's one weakness that could eventually become impossible to ignore: close-range combat. If Mina loses her distance, if her weapon becomes ineffective, if she can't maintain her position, then her greatest advantage disappears. And against increasingly powerful kaiju, that's a serious problem, because the enemies aren't staying the same. They're evolving, they're becoming faster, smarter, stronger, and eventually raw firepower may not be enough. That's where Kafka becomes so important to Mina's story. Kafka represents something Mina doesn't have: a human mind inside a body capable of fighting kaiju at their level. He can survive where humans can't. He can fight at close range. He can take enormous punishment. And, most importantly, he can adapt. Mina's strength is precision. Kafka's strength is adaptability. And that's why they complement each other so well. So, is Mina Ashiro actually weaker than fans think? In terms of raw physical power, probably. She can't compete with the most monstrous characters simply by overpowering them. But that's not what makes Mina dangerous. Her strength isn't about becoming the biggest monster on the battlefield. It's about knowing exactly where to stand, exactly when to attack, and exactly what shot to take. That's the real reason Mina Ashiro is so respected. Not because she's invincible, but because she's human and still chooses to stand on the front line. She knows the monsters are stronger. She knows she has limits. She knows one mistake could cost lives, and she still pulls the trigger again and again and again. So maybe the better question isn't, is Mina Ashiro strong enough to defeat everyone? Maybe it's, how much can a human accomplish without becoming a monster? Because Kafka became powerful by becoming something beyond human. Mina became powerful without giving up what makes her human. And perhaps that's what makes her strength more impressive than people realize. She doesn't need to be the strongest. She just needs to be the one who lands the shot. And when Mina Ashiro takes aim, even a monster should be afraid.